I used to laugh at ghost stories. You know, the kind kids whisper around campfires or pass around in grainy YouTube videos. Cursed houses, haunted hospitals, stuff that only works in the dark, when your brain's half asleep and your heart's playing tricks on you. I laughed, right until the night we dared each other to step inside Ravenwood Asylum. It was supposed to be a joke, a thrill on a stormy Friday. One last stupid memory before we all graduated and scattered to the wind. Just me, Leela, Marisol, and Jace, standing at the chain-link fence like idiots, drenched and shivering, staring at the collapsed side wall where trees had torn through brick. The asylum loomed behind it, black against a darker sky. Wind howled through broken windows like something alive. I remember Jace saying, 10 minutes. In and out. First one to scream buys dinner for a week. And then, like idiots, we went in. The flashlight I brought cut through the shadows like a scalpel, but it didn't help much. The darkness inside Ravenwood wasn't normal. It felt layered, like stepping into someone else's dream, or nightmare. The walls were slick with old paint and moisture, peeling in strips like skin. I could hear leaves skittering across the floor, and something else, something deeper, breathing maybe, not ours. We passed broken wheelchairs and gurneys turned on their sides, like someone had fled in the middle of surgery. I stepped over a rusted IV stand, and that's when the air changed. It got cold. Not cold like the weather. Cold like the place itself was remembering something terrible. "Did you bring the newspaper?" Marisol asked me. I nodded and pulled the damp article from my pocket. I'd found it in my dad's attic. Ravenwood shuts down after string of disappearances. One survivor, Dr. Elias Gray. I didn't tell them the worst part, that one of the missing names had been Evan Lang. My name, same spelling, same age. "Creepy," Lila muttered, pulling her hoodie tighter. We moved through the patient intake hallway, where signs still hung crookedly. Ward A, admittance. Ward B, containment. And then, the scream. High, piercing, distant. Not one of us. We froze. "That wasn't funny," Lila hissed. "I didn't do it," Jace said, voice too low. I checked the flashlight, still working, but something was wrong. The hallway buzzed suddenly, like static in my skull. A surge pulsed through the power bank in my backpack. Then the light exploded in my hand with a pop, throwing sparks. I dropped it with a curse. "Split up," Jace said. "We'll cover more ground. Be out faster." That was the moment. That exact second. I should have said no. Instead, I watched them pair off. Jace and Marisol veering left, me and Lila heading right, our backup flashlights guiding the way. She kept close, her breathing shallow. "We shouldn't be here," she whispered. I wanted to agree. Instead, I said, "We'll be fine." But I knew we wouldn't be. A door creaked behind us, distant footsteps, not ours. Something had heard us, and we had just split up. I didn't want to split up. I really didn't. But Jace made it sound like we were being babies, and I wasn't about to be the one to chicken out. So Lila and I kept walking. The hallway narrowed as we moved deeper. Every step away from the main entrance felt like a step out of the world. Our footfalls echoed weirdly, like the building was swallowing sound and giving back something else. A dull thump that didn't always match our rhythm. We passed signs with faded lettering. Group therapy, staff access only, rehabilitation A. Most doors were blocked or warped shut, but one opened with a groan. Therapy Ward 3. Inside, the room looked like a riot had been frozen in time. Upholstered chairs lay overturned. A tape recorder lay on the ground, split open like a rib cage. Filing cabinets had been emptied, their contents scattered like autumn leaves. Fractured mirrors hung crooked on the walls, reflecting broken versions of ourselves in slivers. That's when I heard it. Faint. Barely there. A whisper. At first I thought it was the wind threading through cracks in the ceiling. But it didn't move like wind. It spoke. Lila heard it too. "Did you say something?" she asked, clutching her flashlight like a weapon. "No. Did you?" She pulled out her phone. "I'm gonna record this." The sound got louder, not clearer, just closer. A slithering whisper, Too fast to catch words, but somehow it knew our names. I swear it knew. Her phone blinked red as it recorded. Then she stopped it and hit playback. At first, just static. Then our own voices. Mine saying, "I didn't say anything." Hers replying, "I'm gonna record this." Then a third voice. Low. Breathless. It whispered both our names. Twice. Lila's hand jerked, and she dropped the phone. We both stared at it on the floor, the screen now dead. Just black. She knelt down to pick it up, and the whispering stopped. Everything went quiet. Too quiet. I turned to leave, but the door we came through had shut. I pulled the handle. Locked. Solid. "Seriously?" I whispered. Lila's voice trembled. "This isn't funny anymore." From the other side of the room, the curtain in the corner fluttered. But there was no window open. I stepped toward it. The air around the curtain was ice cold, the kind of cold that settles in bones. I reached out, expecting to see maybe a draft, a broken vent. The curtain fluttered again, and behind it, just for a flash, I saw something. A silhouette. Small. Too small to be an adult. Kneeling maybe. Watching. Then it was gone. I yanked the curtain back. Nothing. Just a blood-stained mattress and a wall covered in tally marks. Hundreds of them, carved deep, like claws had made them over years. Lila backed into me. She was shaking. "I want to go back. Right now." Before I could answer, my walkie crackled. "Evan?" It was Marisol. The signal was weak, her voice distorted. "We found something. I think it's drawings. Of eyes. With X's, then static." "Marisol? Say that again." Nothing. I tried again. No response. Then the lights in the hallway outside blinked once and went dark. The whisper came back. But this time it was right next to my ear. "Have you ever felt someone disappear? Not walk away, not hide, not run. I mean disappear, like they blinked out of existence and left behind a silence shaped like them. That's what happened to Marisol and Jace." It was just after the whisper. Lila and I had managed to get the therapy ward door open again. I don't know how. One moment it was stuck, the next it clicked open like it had never been locked. I called into the walkie as we stepped into the corridor. No response. Static. Then silence. "Maybe they're messing with us," Lila said, forcing a shaky smile. But even she didn't believe it. I tried the walkie again. "Jace? Marisol? You there?" Nothing. We wandered, calling their names through dusty halls that seemed to shift and stretch. At one point, we passed a nurse's station where the wall had caved in, and lying on the counter was a patient file. Yellowed. Curling. Something about it made me stop. I picked it up. Name: Evan Lang. Admission date: March 3rd, 1963. Diagnosis: dissociative identity. The rest was scratched out. "What is this?" I whispered. Lila looked over my shoulder, then slowly backed away. "That's your name." "No, it can't be me. It's just a coincidence." But my stomach twisted. It was my handwriting on the form signature line. My own. Just aged. Faded. Like I'd signed it 60 years ago. Lila didn't say anything. She just stared past me, like something was wrong. When I turned around, I didn't see anything. But I felt something. Movement. Pressure. Like we were being watched by someone right behind a wall we couldn't see. We kept walking. And that's when Lila started acting. Off. She'd pause mid-sentence. Glance down empty corridors. Whisper things under her breath when she thought I wasn't listening. At one point, I caught her staring into a cracked mirror, saying, "It's not him," over and over again. I should have pulled her out. I should have said we're leaving. But we were already too far in. Then we found the observation bay. The glass window was clouded with mildew, but inside was a console surrounded by dusty VHS tapes. Dozens of them, all labeled Lila, Marisol, Jace, Evan. each with a date and a time that hadn't happened yet. "Is this us?" Lila whispered, stepping forward. She picked up the one with her name. "This is today's date." We found an old VHS player still plugged into the wall. I slid in the tape with my name. The screen flickered to life. I saw myself, walking through the asylum, laughing, flashlight in hand. Except, it was footage from outside the building, like security cam footage of us arriving. Footage from before we even stepped inside. Lila backed away. "How does it... That's impossible." I ejected the tape, slammed it onto the floor. That's when I heard the sound. A thud. I turned around. "Lila!" I called. The room was empty. Her flashlight was spinning on the floor in slow, lazy circles. I ran to the door and yanked it open. Nothing. Just the hallway. Silent. Endless. She was gone. No scream. No struggle. Just gone. I grabbed her flashlight and ran, yelling her name, trying every door, pounding on every wall. And as I did, I passed a mirror. Just one. And in its reflection, I wasn't running. I was watching. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. It presses in, like it's listening. After Lila vanished, I stopped calling her name. I don't know when exactly. Maybe after the third time it echoed back to me in her voice. But not her. Too smooth. Too perfect. Like a recording. Or a memory that wasn't mine.
I don't know why I kept moving. Maybe I was still trying to find the others. Maybe I was just too scared to stay still. But something kept pulling me deeper into Ravenwood, hallway after hallway like veins in a dying body. That's how I ended up in the administrative wing. The walls here were different. Not just dirty or cracked, scratched. Like hundreds of hands had clawed at them in panic years ago. And the building had remembered. I passed rusted filing cabinets and a collapsed ceiling where old tiles hung like teeth. At the far end, a green exit sign flickered over a door marked Doctor's Lounge. And from behind it, humming, off-key, slow, like a lullaby dragged through glass. I pushed the door open. The room reeked of disinfectant and rot. Mismatched furniture, crumbling medical posters, and him, the doctor. He stood with his back to me, facing the wall, his spine unnaturally straight beneath a stained white coat. He was scratching something into the plaster with a scalpel. Long, careful lines. His hand moved like a needle across skin. I stepped back, breath caught, but he turned anyway. His eyes were worse than empty. They were hollow, like something had scooped them out and filled them with smoke. "Ah," he rasped, voice like dry leaves. "There you are." I froze. "You've already been admitted," he said. The door behind me slammed shut. I ducked behind a torn curtain, crawling backward into a rusted service shaft that had once vented heat through the asylum. The metal grated my arms. I didn't care. I crawled until I couldn't hear his humming anymore. When I finally dropped out the other end, I hit cold tile and lay still. I was in the children's ward. I could tell by the murals, or what was left of them. Faded cartoon animals peeling from the walls. Broken mobiles hanging from the ceiling like nooses. The beds were tiny, rusted, empty, until I blinked. Then they were full. Every single one. The children weren't moving, but they were screaming. Mouths stretched open, eyes wide in terror, hands frozen mid-reach. But no sound came. Just the memory of sound, echoing inside my skull like pressure. I backed away, gasping. One bed frame clanged as something moved, but when I turned, it was just an old IV pole tipping over on its own. Or not on its own, because I felt him again, behind me. I spun, and the doctor was there, inches from my face. But he didn't move, didn't speak, just stared, like he was trying to remember where he'd seen me before. And then, he stepped into the darkness, like it swallowed him whole, gone. I was alone. Almost. Because as I turned toward the hallway, the beds began to creak. One by one, as if someone was standing up. There's a moment, right after terror fades, where something worse settles in. Silence. Not peace, not relief. Just the realization that you're still inside the nightmare, and it's not done with you yet. I don't remember how I got out of the children's ward. I just remember running, past broken doors and flickering lights, past the beds, now empty again, as if they hadn't just been filled with frozen screams. Every hallway led to more of the same: peeling paint, collapsed ceilings, shadows that watched. Until I found the desk drawer. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just opening drawers like a rat in a maze, desperate for a door that wouldn't vanish the second I turned away. The Nokia buzzed once, then again. Old, filthy, still working. One new voicemail. I pressed play. It was Marisol. Her voice came in a whisper, strained, barely audible over a sound like grinding teeth. "Evan, listen. He's copying us, not just our voices. He's trying to..." The message cut out. But I swear, before it ended, I heard my voice say her name, like I was standing behind her. I dropped the phone and backed away, right into a wall that wasn't there a second ago. When I turned, the hallway was gone. The drawer, the room, all of it. Now I stood in front of mirrors, dozens of them. A mirrored room, floor to ceiling. Every surface reflecting my fear, fractured into infinite versions of myself. I didn't look right. Each reflection twitched, blinked at different times. One of them smiled. I froze. That's when I saw it. Marisol's shoe, in the corner, lying on its side like she'd been pulled straight out of it. And then, something worse. In every mirror. I had no reflection, except for one. One mirror at the far end of the room did reflect me, but it wasn't me. He looked like me, moved like me, but he didn't blink, didn't breathe. He stared at me, grinning. A slow, unnatural smile that reached too wide. Then he mouthed the words, "Come home." I staggered back. My shoulder struck another mirror, but this one didn't break. It rippled, like water. Behind me I heard footsteps. Mine. Exactly mine. I turned. Nothing. Turned back. And my double was closer. His face was pressed against the inside of the mirror, fogging it slightly. His lips moved again, slower this time. "You don't belong here." "I do." The lights flickered. A siren screamed somewhere in the distance. Not police, something older. Something internal, like an alarm built into the bones of this place. I ran. I didn't care where. I ran until my lungs burned, until my reflection disappeared, until even the mirrors gave up following me. But as I passed a rusted med cart, I caught a glimpse in the metal, just for a second. Not my face. His. I didn't notice it at first, the way things had started. Folding. The hallway I ran down after the mirrored room felt familiar. Too familiar. A bloodstain on the tile. A crooked chair against the wall. I'd seen them before, but not from this direction. That's when I saw the photograph again. The one of the Ravenwood staff, yellowed and stained. I'd passed it hours ago, but now the faces were different. They were smiling. All of them, with eyes pitch black and mouths stretched too wide. I kept moving, but everything felt inverted. My flashlight flickered, and for one split second, the hallway ahead was a mirror of the one behind me. Same cracks in the wall, same peeling paint, same whispers. That's when I checked my watch. The second hand wasn't ticking forward anymore. It was spinning backward. Time had started coming undone. Somewhere ahead, my voice echoed through a busted intercom, a sentence I knew I'd said earlier. "We shouldn't be here." It wasn't a memory. It was playing, on a loop, over and over, from unseen speakers embedded in the walls. "We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be here." I turned a corner and saw my footprints in the dust, leading the wrong way. That's when he appeared. Jace. He stepped out from a doorway like nothing was wrong. Hair a little disheveled, same old hoodie. "Evan," he said calmly. "Finally." I stopped cold. "Jace?" My voice cracked. "Is it...
Is it really you? He smiled, but didn't blink. And then I noticed his hands. They were wrong. The fingers mirrored, curled in unnatural ways, like someone had copied him from memory and messed up the details. You've been sick, he said, tilting his head. But you're here now. We can help you. You just need to stay. I took a step back. I don't need help. You asked to be admitted, he said. His voice didn't sound like Jace anymore. It echoed, like two voices layered on top of each other. One deep, one young, both not quite human. I ran. I didn't look back. His footsteps didn't follow, but his voice did. Stay for treatment, Evan. I turned a corner and skidded into the morgue. It was cold. Too cold. Steel drawers lined the walls like coffins. In the center of the room were 3 gurneys. On them, body bags. My breath caught as I stepped closer. Tags dangled from the zippers. Marisol Lila Jace. I reached for one, hands trembling, and saw the zipper was already open. From the inside, I checked each one. Empty. Not even blood. Just absence. I staggered backward into a tray of surgical tools, and they clattered to the floor. And then I heard it again. Hissing. From the vents. Thick black mist slithered out like something alive. It didn't drift. It crawled, spreading fast across the floor, up the walls, curling along the ceiling like smoke underwater. I grabbed the nearest thing, a rusted bone saw, and held it like a weapon. I don't know what I thought I'd fight, but I wasn't dying in that room. Then the lights blew out. In the dark, I heard breathing. And not just one set. A crowd. I backed into the wall, teeth clenched, praying this was still some sick dream. Then, beneath it all, beneath the hissing, the whispers, the warping sounds of the asylum folding in on itself, I heard a child's voice, close enough to be in my ear. You were always here. I don't know how I made it to the basement. I remember doors that led nowhere. I remember the mist, thicker now, crawling like roots through the walls. I remember a scream that sounded like my own, but I hadn't opened my mouth. But then, silence. Not peace. Just the absence of everything. No wind, no creaks, no whispers. Just a suffocating stillness. Like the asylum had drawn its final breath and was holding it. The stairwell spiraled downward into blackness. I descended by feel. My flashlight had long since died. I didn't trust the glow of my phone anymore. Every time I'd looked at it, the time had been wrong. Sometimes flashing the same second for minutes, sometimes running in reverse. At the bottom was a rusted sign. Maintenance level. Generator access. Final evaluation. Final. The word made my skin crawl. I followed the corridor until I reached a metal door, half open, hanging crooked on its hinges. Beyond it, a room pulsed faintly with the greenish-blue glow of an ancient CRT monitor. In the center of the room stood a single chair, facing the screen. I don't know why I walked toward it. Maybe I was done running. Maybe I thought I'd find answers. The screen flickered. It was me. Not a video. Not a reflection. Live footage. From behind me. I turned around. No one there. On the screen, I turned too. The footage matched me exactly. Until it didn't. The figure on the monitor smiled. I didn't. And then a whisper, inches from my ear. We never treat the body. Only the self. I spun, and there he was. Dr. Gray. His coat now threadbare, his skin parchment thin, his eyes 2 endless pits. He didn't move like a man. He drifted, and when he stepped closer, the shadows behind him peeled off the walls. Patients. Hundreds. Their mouths open in frozen screams. Eyes gone. Fingers twisted from years of reaching for nothing. They came for me. The mist swarmed with them, a shrieking tide of forms clawing from every crack, every vent, every memory the asylum had stored of me. I ran. I don't remember how I fought my way through them. I swung the broken chair leg until my arms gave out. I kicked open the stairwell door. I climbed blindly, dragging myself through hallways that no longer made sense. The asylum twisting like a maze, vomiting up its own past. Then, light. Real cold dawn light. I burst through the main door, the same shattered frame we'd entered through what felt like years ago. I collapsed on the steps, choking on the morning air like it might not belong to me anymore. I screamed their names. Lila, Marisol, Jace. No answer. I checked my phone. No signal. No service. No clock. Just a black screen. I turned the camera on, pointed it behind me. Nothing. The asylum didn't show up. Just trees. Mist. Empty space where a massive building should have been. Gone. I lowered the phone, trembling. That's when I heard it. Sirens. But not police. They came from another building down the road, long abandoned. An alarm no one should have been able to trigger. A warning for something no one else believed existed. I stood slowly, and then I saw it. In the broken window beside me. My reflection. It smiled. Its eyes were black as coal. I hadn't escaped. Something from Ravenwood had followed me out.